everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sara, and I am here with none other than
me, Allie.
Just wasn't gonna be smooth. It's 1 week off, and we've lost the cadence. Welcome back. I missed you.
I miss you too. I hope the viewers missed me too, though Helen did a stellar job.
Helen did a great job, but we also had an episode where Helen and I naturally very much disagreed about everything. I do want to say, by the way, I got a text from somebody who listened to the episode, was like, by the way, I agreed with you about the Jill Scott debate. And I was like, that's all I need to hear, really. If one person says that to me, I'm going to take that as everybody agreed with me, and I won. Well, I'm happy to have you back for none other than your favorite type of episode. Have you enjoyed the tournaments? We've got She Believes, we got Arnold Cup. I'm having a blast watching these. I'm frankly a little upset at how good Arnold Clark is compared to She Believes, because I found myself more excited to watch the Arnold Cup games than She Believes Cup games because they're just so good.
Whereas I'm the complete opposite. I am so disenchanted with Arnold Clark. Like, I wouldn't even bother with it if England weren't in it. Whereas the She Believes, I am all about it. I am so excited. I can't watch them live, but I'm watching them all on the replays. So
I don't understand that. Why? Like it is actually worse soccer in She Believes. The teams are worse. The soccer is worse. Like I put on, no offense to these teams, I put on the Iceland New Zealand game because that was the first game to kick off She Believes, and I was like, I can't watch this. This looks like amateur soccer.
I'm going to say this, and I hope I don't offend any Kiwis out there, but I probably...
It's okay, I just called it amateur soccer. I'm sure you won't offend anybody more than I just did.
That's the thing, like, I'm finding that the New Zealand games are hard to watch because of that. However, and we'll probably come on to it briefly, the Iceland-Czech Republic game is one of my favourite games of European football that I have probably seen in a very long time. I think we have been sleeping on these teams, and they are proving their absolute worth. I think Iceland are going to beat the States in the final and are going to take the cup, my friend. I'm saying it now out there. Minute market.
Please minute market, because I'm going to pull that back up next week when you're absolutely wrong. Iceland and the Czech Republic was probably a good game because they know each other well, because they played each other twice in the qualifiers. Iceland destroyed them twice anyways, just destroyed them a third time in the She Believes. It is impressive that they were able to break through the low block, because that's not something that the U.S. were able to do. And also, these teams have been playing together. Like I just said, they've had World Cup qualifiers, so they've got their footing under them. This is a squad that's been together for a while, teams that know each other well. Frankly, maybe it was a good game because the levels were comparable.
Okay, I can see that, but I will not say that Iceland destroyed the Czech Republic. It was a close game. It was probably one of the most competitive games that's been in the tournament so far.
Okay, that's fair. But it was competitive because they're the same level, which is lower than the level of the US.
We're going to get onto She Believes, but you're telling me that the US had a good standard of football, because my friend, you are blinded by patriotism, because they were not.
Oh my God, I've never been insulted by so many things in one statement. And you think I need to call my girlfriend in and ask if I'm a patriot? Would you call me a patriot, Laura? No. No, she says no. First of all, no, I am not a patriot, so I'm not blinded by patriotism. I'm not saying that they're playing great soccer right now. What I am saying is that even despite them not playing good soccer, they're still better than Iceland. And I think that will be proven on Wednesday when they play against each other. I think that the Iceland-Czech Republic game was so good, like I said, because those two match up well. You watch the US-Czech Republic game, and yeah, that ended in a draw, but those teams were not comparable. It was simply them not being able to break the low block.
No, I'm not having that at all, because in days of old, America would have smashed them. They would have found a way, never mind the slow block nonsense, they would have found a way, whether it be, you know, Rapinoe going down for a penalty, whether it's Morgan doing whatever Morgan does, they would have found a way, and then they would have got at least one goal, and then that would have opened the floodgates.
I love how even in your complimenting of the old US team, you've still managed to insult us. How are you able to do that?
I'm British. It's what we do.
I don't know. I think you're giving them a little too much credit. Like, there were teams that the US of old couldn't break down.
Yeah, but not of the level of the Czech Republic. Right, what are the Czech Republic? I'm going to Google this now. What are the Czech Republic
look, the
rankings?
Czech Republic tied the Netherlands twice in World Cup qualifiers. So while they are ranked low, they do have, like, you can't just say this is a normal low block. This is how they play, and they do it very well. And the U.S. isn't the only top team that they've been able to do it against. So, I mean, yes, the U.S. right now is not the same U.S. of old, and they shouldn't be. One of the points that I want to make about how the U.S. is playing based on the last game that they just played against New Zealand is that they're not playing good soccer. But that doesn't really matter right now. That's not really the point. They're putting people out on the field who have never played together once in a game before. So many new faces, just a completely new team that has no idea how to play together. So, of course, it's not going to be very pretty, no matter the competition level. So, that's not really an issue in my head. Like, fast forward to a year from now, and if we're still in this place, we have a massive problem. But right now, it's just getting names in jerseys, seeing how they perform, period, the end.
See, the thing is, I don't think it has to be pretty, but, there was just something lackluster about the US in the 2 games that I watched with the She Believes. Yeah,
lackluster.
I told you I'm going to get so much trouble for this episode.
I want you to find one person that agrees with you. Just one.
I doubt I will, but in my opinion, they were very lackluster.
Give me some data points. Like, I want to know why you think they were lackluster. Give me moments where you were like, that's lackluster.
Well, I mean, right, for example, right, let's take the New Zealand game. You are up 3-0 by halftime. You should be, like, on top of the world. You should be up fighting for it, pumping. Nothing happened until, like, Hatch appeared. Like, they were just so bored. Like, it was just lots of passing football and there was very little output.
What do you mean? Like, they were just keeping possession, but they didn't have a lot of shots on goal?
No, it's just that they, like, you're 3-0 up, right? Granted that the reason they've scored the own goals is because you're shooting. And then they rested on that. And I'm like, why would you rest on 3 own goals? Because that's not proving your worth of anything. That's just saying that your opposition has been unlucky 3 times. Why are you not pushing up? Why are you not, like, trying to show the world that we may be a new team? We may have got rid of our... because the whole point is supposed to be Rapinoe can't walk into this team because she's not good enough. Morgan can't walk into this team because she's not good enough. Your coach has talked a big game about why he's selected the players that he has. And it just was so lackluster. Trinity Rodman, who has been, like, lighting up the league, and I have talked nothing but praise about her, looked bored. She looked like a damp squid. Yeah, no.
First of all, Trinity Rodman barely got any minutes in this last game. All right, so let's just get it. Let's get into the game because we're talking about it already. We were gonna do Arnold Clark Cup first, but we're just switching it up. Here we go. We're doing She Believes. We're gonna talk both of the last 2 games that were played. So let's start off with the first game that was played on Sunday. USA versus New Zealand. The US wins 5-0, 3 own goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second half. Look, here's the thing about this tournament in the US. I don't think at all, not even 1% is this tournament for the US about showing the world that the young talent is going to destroy people like the old 2019 team did. I don't think it's about that at all. We don't have Euros coming up. This tournament, I think, for Vlatko was purely about getting people in who played their way into camp and seeing how they performed. And that, at the end of the day, could be kind of ugly because none of those players have played together before. There's nerves, people playing for the team, the national team the first time, whatever it is. But I don't think that they were lackluster. I think that they were just a bunch of players figuring out how to play with each other. And sometimes it clicked and they scored, and sometimes they were just trying to find their footing. I agree with you. This was not a pretty game for the US. We agree on that front. Actually, I'm just going to read a text that my friend sent me because I think it sums this up pretty perfectly, and it also makes me laugh. Just happened to be watching the U.S. women's national team on the treadmill and thought of you. They're up by 4, but keep losing the ball. LOL.
Yeah, exactly. That sums it up perfectly.
It sums it up perfectly. They didn't play well as a team, but there were some great individual performances, and I think that's what's important.
Yeah, that's the response she gets from me for that. There were some maybe.
All right, I'm going to list a couple names, and you tell me if you think they had a good individual performance.
Go for it.
Okay, well, yeah. First of all, I am going to call out Ashley Hatch.
Yes, that I agree with
Golden Boot winner of the NWSL, got a goal, a gorgeous header off of a cross, like really showing up. And in my opinion, based on how she played versus like how Lynn Williams has played in the past 2 games, Ashley Hatch just put herself ahead of Lynn Williams in terms of if we're taking a number 9, that's who we're taking.
Yeah, Hatch, I will give you. Hatch for me was the shining light on a lackluster game.
All right, fair enough. Number 2, I'm going to say Sofia Huerta, who I'm really happy for. Defender for Oil Reign, has just been really like a solid lockdown defender in the NWSL for many years. Gets a call up to the U.S. women's national team. She was involved in 2 out of 5 of these goals. One of them was a cross off of her that resulted in the own goal. And one of them was a cross that I think Midge Purser, I don't remember who scored, but she assisted a second goal as well. For me, that's a standout performance in a position that the U.S. is struggling in. Like that outside back position is, in my opinion, totally up for grabs right now.
I wouldn't say it was outstanding.
It was a standout performance. She had 2 assists.
No, like, I'm sorry, but like, no.
You can't just say no. You have to say why.
I honestly didn't notice her until you gave me the show notes. And I'm like, I am more probably aware of the US national team than I am of the England team at the moment, based on like the things and stuff that's been going on and the fact that you are changing it up, whereas we're not. And I'm like, to be honest, I wouldn't have noticed that she was there.
Interesting. Well, granted, I did watch this at a bar, drinking a couple beers, but I still noticed and thought she was a standout player for the match. And I'm curious if whoever's listening, I would not whoever's listening. I'm curious what our listeners think. I'm going to call out a couple more names. Now, I call this name out a lot. Actually, I don't call this name out. I called it out once when the U.S. played Australia in 2021. Going to call it out again now. Emily Fox, to me, is the future of the U.S. backline. She is, I think, going to take Kelly O'Hara's spot. She's a lockdown defender. We didn't really get to see her defense too much against New Zealand, but we did get to see how she gets involved in the attack. And as far as outside backs go, she can orchestrate play from the outside back position, and that says a lot about a player.
Yeah, okay, I will give you that. As a young talent, I'm not saying she's standout. I'm saying that I will give you the fact that as a defender, she is probably one of the best the US have got at the moment, and she's only going to grow and grow and grow. And I would like to see more of her working with the Broon, with Becky before.
With the Broon?
With the Broon!
I didn't know who you were talking about for a second.
The Broon!
With the 200 caps lady.
Yeah, 201. Shout out to Becky Sauerbrunn. But I would like to see them two work together and develop something, because I think the knowledge that Becky can pass on to Fox is going to be crucial to how the US progress further. You know, we're seeing it a bit over in England with Williamson and Bright and stuff like that. And I would like to see it for you guys in the States to help continue the journey rather than it just abruptly stop.
Absolutely agreed. Speaking of Becky Sauerbrunn and center backs, I think it's important for us to touch on as maybe the last thing we talk about for the U.S., because we spent a bit of time on it now. Andi Sullivan is currently playing the number 6 position, and everybody really knows that historically for the past 5 years has been a Julie Ertz's position, period. She plays that position better than anybody else in the world, and that I don't think anybody would really argue with me about that. She is a lockdown number 6, but they play it very differently. Julie Ertz is very defensive oriented. She's going to stay in front of that back line and she's going to lock it down. Andi Sullivan, the way we've been seeing her play and the way that she plays, she's much more not attacking minded, but she's going to go.
She's a midfielder.
She's a midfielder, exactly.
She's a proper midfielder.
She distributes the ball beautifully. She's going to control the play. She's going to be the person that dictates the speed of play. She's going to be the person who, if you need to hold the ball, she'll hold the ball. She will control the game with how she plays with the ball at her feet and how she moves the ball around the field. Very, very different styles of play. And Julie Ertz is hurt right now, but there will be a moment when Julie Ertz comes back and Andi Sullivan has been playing the 6 and the U.S. has been growing in Vlatko's formation with Andi Sullivan as the 6, and it's going to be kind of a what happens. And I just have to say, I think that position now belongs to Andi Sullivan. And I think that Julie Ertz, who, by the way, is not a true number 6 in terms of how she was trained and what position she played her whole life before she got to the professional level, should fall back to center back with the position, by the way, that she played in the 2015 World Cup when we won. And Julie Ertz and Becky Sauerbrunn can lock down that center back. And I think that the only argument against that is like, oh, there's not enough speed. Well, there's not enough speed with Abby Dahlkemper there anyways. So get your speed on the outside backs, throw Ertz in the center back with Becky Sauerbrunn, have your veteran presence there, and Andy Sullivan in front. And to me, if I'm looking at that lineup, I'm scared of the middle of the field for the U.S. All right, enough of the U.S. Let's move on to New Zealand. New Zealand lost 5-0 this game. 3 of those goals were conceded by own goals, specifically one person who, frankly, like, we have to touch on this because I think the entire soccer world, anybody that's played soccer and has scored an own goal, and anybody that's done that knows what a terrible feeling that is. So, first of all, what are your thoughts on New Zealand? And let's touch on more scoring those 3 own goals.
The imperfect hat trick in the fact that she scored a header, a left foot and a right footer.
Oh, no.
I do think it was very unfortunate. She was doing what a defender is meant to do. She was trying to clear it and her angle wasn't quite right. And it is unfortunate that she scored all 3 of them. The only thing I disagreed is the fact she got taken off 40 minutes. I would have at least kept her into half time. And then if I was the New Zealand coach, I would have said to her, how are you feeling? Are you strong? Do you feel strong enough to go back out and like prove your worth? Or do you want to call it a day? There's no like judgment either way.
That's a really good point. And that's really interesting.
Because that's going to hurt, man. That's going to hurt. You've already screwed up. And like 2 minutes after you've screwed up the 3rd time, it will feel like your coach has lost faith in you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've had a coach once say to me, I'm not going to pull her off. She just missed a penalty kick. I can't pull her off. Right now, she's going to think that's why I'm pulling her off.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's a really good, smart way to go about this. And actually, that's really interesting you bring that up, Allie, because when I was in the bar, this happened, and I was talking to the person next to me about it who was like, oh, I think you need to pull her. And my initial response was like, no, you can't pull her right now. And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, like, if I'm in that position, if I'm her, I probably want out. But I like what you're saying better. Like, leave it to her. Like, as a coach, you need to put it in her hands and be like, do you feel mentally strong enough to try to climb out of this hole? Or do you want to just say game over, I'm done?
Exactly. Like, she got pulled at 40 minutes. It wouldn't have hurt to keep her on for the 5 minutes plus whatever extra time. It wouldn't have hurt anymore. And I do think that it probably has knocked her quite a lot.
Which you really hate to see because she's young and she's talented. And frankly, 2 of those were unavoidable.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just like Midge Purse heads the ball and she's a foot away and it deflects off of her. And there was no reaction time whatsoever. Which I didn't even think that one needed to be counted as an own goal, to be totally frank.
No, to be honest, I would have put it down to Purse for that.
Yeah, so, 3 own goals on the score sheet, but absolutely not her fault and not something that I think she needs to feel bad about at all. I need to go through all 11 players before it got to her too. So New Zealand, 40% possession in this game, only 1 shot on target. They didn't perform well in the Olympics, really, so I'm not sure what we expected from them here. Have they just plateaued? Have we seen them actually drop off?
I do think there's been a bit of a drop off. I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't know if it's because we're starting to see New Zealand players play in different leagues when they're playing for their clubs. It's not quite as competitive because we've got a couple of new Kiwis over in the UK and the WSL. I know there's Allie Riley over in the States, but they mainly play in the Australian League, which has just gone under a huge restructure at the moment because they've now become the A-League women instead of just the W League. And that is unsettling. Like, it's been a massive, boost, hopefully for the better, but I do think that that's not going to give you guys, the momentum that you've needed because
I completely agree.
Disjointed in your home life and your club life than to come across.
The A-League has also lost a lot of talent to other leagues, whereas, NWSL players all really used to travel back down to Australia in the offseason and play in the A-League and go back and forth, and that culture has shifted, frankly, for good, because they used to do that because of money and they weren't getting paid enough and they needed to get paid in the off season. So luckily that has shifted, but that has also caused the A-League to go downhill a little bit. So the other She Believes Cup game was what we just touched on, Iceland versus Czech Republic. I think we've already talked a lot about this.
No, the only thing I will say about this, and I will reiterate what I said before, is the fact that for European football fans, I think we have slept on Iceland and the Czech Republic because they have played some quite brilliant football, to be honest. I mean, like you've said about the Czech Republic, they held the Netherlands to two significant draws and stuff like that. So I think a bit like we said about South Korea in the Asia Cup and how we've and China and how we've sort of slept on them, I have a feeling that it's the same with Iceland and Czech Republic, and they can only grow up. I think we'll start to see Icelandic players and Czech Republic players come into different leagues, because at the moment most of them play within their own nations' leagues, but we're starting to see more Icelandic players coming over to the UK, and I think we're going to start seeing that with the Czech players as well, and that can only be a great thing. It can only be a good thing for the game.
And now let's go around the world, around the world. Allie was dancing while I said that. We are going over to France first, the Tournoi de France. I apologize for butchering that pronunciation if I did. France are dominating their invitational tournament, beating Finland 5-0 and Brazil 2-1. Are we finally seeing a more cohesive France after the last few years of division? The final games are on the 22nd, with the hosts taking on the Netherlands.
And then we go over to Portugal with the Algarve Cup. It's Sweden versus Italy in the grand final of this tournament. Sweden have been dominating, winning decisively in both games with a 3-0 and a 4-0 win in their two games. Italy are also 2-2 with slightly lesser scores, so this final is shaping up to be some battle.
And now over to the Pintar Cup. We are now down to the final of this cup with Russia versus Belgium. Russia are the story of this cup, beating all odds to get to the final, beating the Republic of Ireland in the semi-final. Again, the final takes place on the 22nd.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
So we're going to start off where we should have started off for this second, and we're going to talk about the Arnold Clark Cup because we're going to switch it up because this is, again,
I'm so excited for this. Well, these games have been so much fun. I know. Well, let's talk about the game and see why we really disagree about it. Because you did not like. Let's start off with England versus Spain.
Yep. And my note on this was bored of it all. So if that doesn't sum it up,
let's get into it. Let's kick it off with England because I want to know really why you're bored of it all. Because I love what I'm seeing from England compared to what they've been doing for the past 2 years. I am frankly impressed. So what do you see from England? What do you like and what do you not like?
I literally fell asleep. I'm just going to point that out now. It was 3:00 in the afternoon and I fell asleep. That's how indifferent I was to this.
But why?
The thing is, I've been uninspired by the match selection, the team selection, the fact that it was basically Man City plus some friends again. Has been winding me up. I have appreciated that she's been playing players like, for example, Jess Carter got a start against Spain, which I think is well deserved because Jess Carter is absolutely dominating at Chelsea at the moment.
Completely.
And it's one of the few times that you can see a performance in the league is translating over into the national team.
She is absolutely dominant in the way she played in this game, was equally so. Lucy Bronze was getting beat pretty badly down her line, and Jess Carter cleaned up a lot for her.
Exactly. And that's case in point. Why are we playing... I know Helen's going to kill me for this. Why are we playing Lucy Bronze when she's just come back from injury? She's barely getting any minutes at Man City. Why does she get an automatic call-up just because she's suddenly fit? And I use
Allie, did you not listen to last week's episode? I basically yelled at Helen for 5 minutes straight about this.
Yeah, but it's true. I'm backing you up now. I'm here to back you up.
I mean, I completely agree, and I totally agree. I totally understand being uninspired by the team selection because I was too. However, what I've really enjoyed and been pleasantly surprised about is how Serena Wagman is playing each of these players. I love trying out this new formation with the 2 number 6s and matching Williamson and Walsh as the number 6s ahead of the back line. I think that is absolutely brilliant.
But then drop her for the second game. Like Williamson got dropped.
But that's also what I like. She's rotating players. The same thing that similarly to Vlatko, she needs to see people on the field and she's giving people their time. Just like I love how Hannah Hampton got a start today.
Hannah Hampton, I will say, is the absolute, like, for me, outstanding. Like, we've been looking for a young keeper because it's been Roebuck Earps for a long time now. It was, Roebuck Earps. And then Earps didn't really get a shot until Roebuck got injured. And now that we're now seeing Hannah get, and she played out of her skin. She was absolutely phenomenal. But that was it. Like, genuinely, I'm not particularly a fan of Millie Bright. I'm not a fan of...
Millie Bright played an incredible game against Canada.
What does it say about your strike? What does it say about your strikers when your defender gets your only goal?
To me, it doesn't say any... That's such a British thing to say.
But it's true, though. I'm sorry. But what does it say about your strikers when your defender gets your only goal?
Who cares? There's 11 people on the field, and if one of them scores, I'm happy. Period. The end. Look, that's a great point, though. I will say... For me, the way the England team has been for the past 2 or 3 years is that they have had very strong attacking presence, and it's been very clear who is going to be playing and who is in the attack. And the question marks for me have been more around the defense for England. Like Millie Bright was a little inconsistent, and Demi Stokes was starting and pretty inconsistent, so on and so forth. For me now, watching this England team, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you have... Millie Bright and Alex Greenwood locking down the center back with Rachel Daly for some reason, but that's okay, and Lucy Bronze flanking them. Then you've got Leah Williamson and Kerry Walsh in front of them. For me, those 6 are now locked in, and what's up for grabs is actually this pool of tons of midfielders and forwards that you can choose from.
I'm pulling a face because I'm looking at the starting lineup against Spain. We've got Ellen White taking the captaincy, which was a mistake from the start because Ellen White, cracking player, can't captain to save her life. You see it against Man City. She's too focused on scoring.
All of these opinions with...
I love Ellen White. You ask anybody, Ellen White is my favourite player of all time. Like, in the history of football, she's my favourite player of all time. But
I'll take it, but I want to know why you think she can't captain.
Because she's too focused on scoring. She is not running back, giving instructions to her players. For me, a striker shouldn't be a captain. It should be one of your defenders who's got a much better look of the match as a whole. She's not vocal. She doesn't really G up the team as much. She's very much focused on the two strikers she has. So I personally, I've seen it against City. I've seen it for England. I don't rate her as a captain.
Who's captain in this game then?
Greenwood. She's done it before. She did it for Man United. She's done it for City when Steph's been out. She's in the right position for me to get that thing. She's got the good communications with the keeper. She's got the great communication with your midfield and your striker. So I would have had Greenwood as captain or Daly.
Or Daly. Look, I can get on board with the Rachel Daly captain of the England national team. That's pretty great.
Because again, she does it for the dash. So she knows consistently what she's doing. Mm-hmm. White got captain, I think, because experience.
Okay, but I think we're getting into nuances because I don't think Ellen White being captain has anything to do with how the team performed.
Yeah, because your captain is literally the leader of your ship. And if you've got a terrible captain, then you're not going to have the greatest performances. I think, again, I'm looking how we've lined up. Again, it's an uninspired lineup. We did well against Spain because we do normally get our backsides handed to us by Spain. But I think that was more luck, dare I say, than skill.
I disagree. I think this game should have been a draw because both teams, played pretty evenly. Possession was pretty even. Chances were pretty even. Both teams had good chances on goal. Both teams missed good chances on goal. I thought you played each other very, very well. And frankly, I think that the way England is playing is better than I've seen and more creative, frankly, than I've seen England play in a really long time. And all that really needs to be figured out is what in the world is going on with that number 10 spot and that number 9 spot, because they are completely up for grabs and nobody has really stepped in for it. That, to me, if there's anything uninspired, that is the only thing. But also they've played in 2 games where both teams have played in a defensive formation that really shuts down that center of the field. And it's been pretty hard for anybody that's put in that position. So I think it's been really fun to see Georgia Stanway tried out at the number 10. Ella Toone tried out at the number 10. All these different combinations of Hemp, Mead, Knobs. Like, where does Alex Russo play? Alessia Russo play? To me, it's that needs to get sorted out. And I think that the double number 6s, it's so creative. It's so inspired. It's such a perfect way for Serena Wagman to get the best players on the field, because that is the name of the game. England has depth. So get the best players on the field and use some subs, and that's it.
I agree with you. We have depth. I don't agree that we put the best players on the pitch.
Well, I don't think that you've put the best players on the pitch, because I don't think you've put the best players on the squad.
That's what I'm saying.
Within this tournament, I stand by saying that this tournament should be for Serena Wagman to essentially like scout players on her and see how they play.
Except
for the national team.
But that's another conversation because it was exactly the same squad pretty much. Oh, we brought Jess Carter instead of a couple others. That's it. Like, there was no inspiration, and so that makes me sad, and it makes me like not very keen for the Euros. I think if this is going to be...
Allie, it sounds like you came in with a very closed mindset for this tournament.
I didn't. Lies. I always want England to do well. I always want England to do well.
We talked about England. Let's get into Spain a little bit, because Spain, of any single national team, has had the most meteoric rise, I would say. They have the most meteoric rise to the top of international play that I have ever seen. They were nobodies in 2019. People were stunned that they got to the quarterfinals and stunned that they played the U.S. so well. And frankly, when they did play the U.S. so well, it was more defensive oriented and less, let's go out and win this game. And now you look at Spain, and this is beautiful Spanish soccer. This looks like the Barcelona team. It basically is, but it is absolutely gorgeous.
But you know what? That's the difference. We've compared England, and I've basically said it's like Man City and Friends. The Spain team was a bit like Barcelona and Friends, but it works. And I think that is to do with the fact that the Spanish league has upped its game the last couple of seasons. Yes, Barcelona are running away with it this season, but like competition for second, third, fourth has really hotted up. You don't know who it's going to be. You know, having Real Madrid throwing all the money into their women's team has been a huge thing, and that's only been better for the national team because the standard is so much higher, and you're seeing it in the national team. I have to say, Spain were a joy to watch. It was clever little football. Like you've said here about Castello, the Real Madrid forward, like Bronze and Carr didn't know what to do with her because she was just constantly these little flicks and tricks and could easily run into space behind them before they even knew she'd done it. Spain, I have to say, was beautiful to watch, especially in the second half.
I agree. We've got to touch on the second game, Canada versus Germany, mainly because we have to talk about Canada because nobody's talking about Canada, and they have taken the one win of this tournament so far. Canada beat Germany 1-0. We'll go to Germany first. Allie, what do you see from Germany, who, frankly, I would say used to be a powerhouse, has been falling off, in my opinion?
And I think that's what you're saying. I think Germany are going through what France went through a couple of years ago, which is their seasoned players are aging out. They're retiring from international football, focusing on club football, and their youngsters haven't quite got there in terms of, not talent, because they are talented individuals, but they haven't quite got there for the occasion. They haven't quite matured enough into what Germany needs. So there's promise there with the German team. I thought they did, despite going down 1-0 quite early, it was like the 7th minute or something that they went down.
Yeah, it was very early on.
They managed to contain Canada and make sure that it didn't go any worse than that. But I do think that Germany won't be a threat in the Euros. I think we're looking probably towards the World Cup when they'll start showing what they used to be and that true potential again, because that will give them the time to play again. So I genuinely think it's just a high turnover at the moment.
I certainly hope so, because I do love the way they play, and they've been a powerhouse for a while, and their league has not faltered at all. Wolfsburg still highly ranked in the Champions League, along with Bayern Munich, of course, still very competitive, so probably only good things to come. I would have guessed that you're right. Canada, on the other hand, I mean, what does this team have to do to get credit from the world that gold medal wasn't a fluke? And I'm not just saying this to get the Canadian fans on my side. I genuinely feel for them because it's always an excuse. Like the 1-1 draw against England. It was, well, England dominated and Canada just played defense and got that one counterattack. Well, that's their game. And frankly, part of their game is the mentality that they are never out of it. I can't believe it's taken me this long into the podcast to say this, but Emma Hayes was doing commentary.
How has it only taken you this long?
Was she doing commentary for you two, or was that only over here?
No. Yeah, okay, she did it over here.
Emma Hayes was doing commentary, which, by the way, we could do a whole 10 minutes on, because
that would be our news on 10.
If I could have one wish, it might be to have a direct line of thought, like to Emma Hayes' thoughts, and that's the closest we're gonna get. But Emma Hayes said it perfectly on the broadcast. They are never out of a game. And that is partly what is so dangerous about them. They will do whatever they need to do to stay in it, and then they'll find their moment. They did that in the England game.
I genuinely think you ask what it is that they need to be taken seriously. The problem they've got is the fact that they're based in North America.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. The NWSL sometimes doesn't even get due credit because they're not playing in Europe. So, and it's the best league in the world.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form.
We have to talk about Canada in this Germany game, though, because in the England game, yes, they played kind of more like we were used to seeing them play in the Olympics. And in this Germany game, it was like we saw totally next level Canada, where they added possession, coming out on the front foot, and just dominating the game. Their solid lockdown defense, quick counters, never out of the game, and against Germany, coming out on that front foot and being able to maintain the majority of possession, they just continue to improve. And this is a squad that people need to be scared of for the next World Cup. They've got Bev, who is just taking them to new heights all the time. They've got a ton of new talent that continues to develop in strong leagues like the WSL and the NWSL. And they're putting all the pieces together. Well, the final matches of Arnold Clark Cup are coming up. Next matches are today when you're listening to this episode, so Wednesday. That is Spain versus Canada and England versus Germany. Honestly, if both these games ended in a tie, I wouldn't be surprised. This is going to be a blast.
Yep, and also just to say that Canada can win the whole tournament without England even kicking a ball because they play first and they just need to beat Spain.
And that would be making a statement, frankly, coming out and winning this tournament.
Absolutely. So, guys, this is it. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to drop some extra stuff on Patreon. That will come out on Tuesday. Make sure you check out our Patreon. We are going to be restructuring it, so you're going to get some lovely goodies soon, but we need to figure that out. But please...
Patreon.com/TheWoSo
Thank you very much. So check out our Patreon. Check out this new episode. Like us on, and follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Tell all your friends about us. Get us out there. And that's it from me.
Thanks, everybody. This has been the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
Bye.